Do I look good?
You look great. If Christina doesn't go ahead and puke.
We're here to tell you that we
passed! Yes! So we are officially Realtors. All right, so hi guys, welcome back. We are the Zachary duo, and today we're gonna be talking about how to pass your real estate exam, hopefully from the first time. We're gonna be sharing our tips and tricks, so make sure you watch all the way until the end of the video. We're gonna be sharing those tips, but first we're gonna be talking about our own experience and what we went through and how you can prepare. Make sure you subscribe and like if you do like the video, but make sure you subscribe and hit that bell button if you want to get more notifications about our videos. We post every now and then as much as we can.
we're busy people.
Videos about real estate dedicated to agents and buyers. We're going through the journey and we're sharing this journey with you. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic figuratively to my beautiful, amazing partner here, who's going to tell you about our experience.
Well, thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
So, our experience with the exams, let's just say that he passed both the first time. I passed the national, but I didn't pass the state. And here's why. It was honestly clear on my hands. So, we did a prep course with champions. 2 days before?
2 days.
2 days. We had a prep course scheduled for Thursday and Friday. Thursday, we kind of went over the national part of the exam. The state was pretty much the next day. And come the morning that Friday, I had really horrible pain on my back left side. We went to school. Pain kept getting worse. He forced me to go to the emergency room. It ended up being kidney stones. I had 4 of them to pass. So come Monday, we were busy the weekend. Didn't really have much time to prep, but I still felt somewhat confident that I would be able to pass we felt we could pass. And we both went, and I went through the national. I ended up having 100 questions when you're supposed to have 85, and they judge you off of 80 questions. They kind of just throw extra questions in there just to, for future, what are they, test questions?
Yeah, they basically, they are test questions. And
for future tests, just in case, but they throw them out in there to trick you and stuff like that. And I felt like I did a really good job on the national. And so come state, state is 40 questions, but they base you off of 30 questions. So come the state, you can only miss 9. So I'm in my head like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. The first 5 questions in, I'm like, pretty good. The pain starts coming in from the kidney stones. I didn't take my pain medicine that morning. I didn't take my nausea medicine that morning like I said I would. So the rest of the exam, I was struggling really, really bad. Turns out I finished before him because I went in first. And I didn't pass I passed national, didn't pass state, and then that was that.
But you managed to schedule it right next day.
So if you fail one, you have to wait 24 hours till you schedule the next one. So I waited 24 hours, and I scheduled it for like 2 days later. And I did a whole bunch of practice exams just to keep the fire going. And then I made sure that I did I took exam after exam after exam after exam, and I didn't wait until I got 10 in a row of an 85 or greater higher, because I wanted to make sure that I understood the context of the test taking and all the questions.
So how should they prepare for their exam?
How you should prep your exam? Don't go to the hospital when you are taking a prep course.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. Practice exams are key, I think. I don't know what else to say. I think we're at a point well in our lives where it's just like, you know how to take tests, you know what's to come of it. So get some sleep, have a good breakfast, prepare. But I don't think you could prepare more than doing the damn prep exam tests. Practice tests.
Yeah, practice tests. Where can they find it? Yeah.
Online. Or if you took a prep course through anybody, I'm sure they provided it too. But just prep. I keep saying practice tests online over and over and over again, and make sure you get a grade 85 or higher. And whenever it tells you what you did wrong, understand what you did wrong, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then even when you think you got it good, you keep doing it again. That's all I gotta say.
All right. So this is what you need to expect for the day of the exam. Okay. You first of all go there early. You don't want to be stressed. You have enough stress on your plate, right? So go there early. With COVID going on and everything, they're gonna walk you through the safety procedures. They're gonna probably frisk you or ask you to frisk yourself to make sure that you don't have anything up your sleeves or hidden in your socks or in your hat or anything like that.
You can't wear a beanie. They check your glasses too, by the way.
Yep. They're very strict, or at least the center that we went to was very strict.
The first center we went to was very there was one woman in there. She was just like
by the book.
But the second one, when I had to redo the state, they were just like, hey, come on. Very laid back, very chill, not as strict and enforceable as the first one. So I don't know why.
Just prepare for the worst, though. Yeah. So anyway, so they will make sure that you are ready. You're not allowed to take anything with you inside, so don't bother getting pens,
or
paper, calculator, anything like that. They're going to provide you with everything. You get to sit down, and then there's going to be a little bit of a tutorial on the computer where I'll show you how to take the exam, how to go back and forth and do all of that stuff. It's very basic, very easy. The center I was at, they also provide you with headphones, sound canceling headphones. She didn't use them. I personally used them, and I found them very helpful.
And it was funny because he was sitting next to me in the booth during the first exams, and so I could hear you stressing next to me.
I was reading all the questions out loud.
And sometimes I could hear you whispering here and there. You weren't too loud, but one of them you were just like. I was like, oh, I wanted to give you a hug so bad. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, but I didn't hear any of that stuff because I had the headphone, like the stuff on, and I couldn't hear anything. And it's kind of calming. It makes you focus much better.
I did do the headphones. I didn't need them the second time, but I did the headphones anyway. The second time just to switch it up.
Yeah. So, the moment that you've been waiting for. These are the main tips for you to pass right away. They're very basic. 1, have a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
2,
eat a good breakfast and take any medicine that you need to.
3, leave early. Okay?
Yes, leave on time.
Early. You don't know how traffic is, check Google Maps, make sure that you know the way.
Treat yourself to a good breakfast. We got tacos.
Yeah, we did. So make sure that you know the way, make sure that you know what the traffic is like. You really don't want to be stressing and they do give you ample time for the whole test. But you want to make the most out of it.
If I can make a recommendation, schedule your tests as early as possible, right in the morning, so it's still fresh in your mind, instead of like waiting a whole stressful day and then thinking about the test, and just hit it straight in the morning.
Okay, and these next 3 ones are the most important tips.
During the exam.
Yes. 1, read the question more than once. I know it's kind of like common sense, but you can't imagine how important that piece of advice is. They are out there to trick you and to confuse you. There's a lot of double negatives. There's a lot of...
Sorry, go
ahead. No, go ahead. Say.
And sometimes, not just double negatives, but there's also questions on there that that 2 answers could be right, but you have to go with the one that's for sure right. Because one of them might be like, oh, sometimes that could be right. But no, you go with the one that's always 100% right the entire time.
Exactly. So, again,
trick questions and trick answers.
Tip number 1, read the question more than once. Sometimes even I personally, just like we were saying, I read a lot of the questions when I wasn't sure. I read it out loud, you know? So you make sure that you're slowing down and you're actually taking in all of the questions.
And on top of that, also try to relate to the question. Put yourself in the question so it makes more sense. Because I think one question I got was like, they had a bunch of letters in it. If X knows QWB and Q does this at W and W it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
If you put names and you're like, oh, if I did this to this person, they did that to this person, and on the paper you can write the letters and the names so you can kind of visually, it'll make more sense instead of trying to memorize the letters and you get fucking confused.
Yep.
I cussed.
Which beep. Which brings us to tip number 2. This will be very helpful, so pay attention. With every question, you get 4 answers. Out of the 4 answers, almost all the time, 2 of those answers are going to be completely bogus. They're outlandish. You're like, just reading them, you'll be like, yeah, that's not it. Yeah, that's not it. And then there's going to be 2 remaining answers. A lot of the times, it's going to be, you'll know right away, oh yeah, that's the right answer. Or you're still going to be confused because chances are, just like she mentioned, both of them could be correct. But here's the trick. If you have to push for it to work and create scenarios for it to work and be like, well, if this happens and in that case and in that situation, then it would be right, chances are it's wrong. Okay? Yes, you are right. In these circumstances, it would work, but that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for the answer that is always 100% of the time right. Like, for example, they might ask you, your client wants to talk to a lawyer. What do you do? 1, do you recommend a lawyer? 2, do you, 1, do you recommend a lawyer that you know? 2, you tell them not to seek a lawyer, they don't need to. 3,
you give them your own advice.
You give them your own advice. 4, you give them option of 3 lawyers. You tell them, yes, this is a great idea, and you give them option of 3 lawyers to contact. So out of those 4 options, automatically you can tell 2 of them are wrong. Don't tell them not to
just say B and C. Just say B and C.
Okay, fine. You always have to tell them to check with a lawyer if they want to. So telling them not to is wrong. Telling them or giving them one option,
giving them legal advice.
Giving them legal advice is wrong because you're not a lawyer. That will get you in a lot of trouble. So there's 2 remaining ones. You give them
A and D.
You give them the recommendation of a lawyer that you know, which is fine theoretically, right? And then tell them yes, they should check with the lawyer, and if they would like, you can recommend 3 lawyers. This way, you're not being biased. They can go back and tell you, hey,
then they choose.
Exactly. Then they are choosing. So this would be the right answer all the time.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of confusions that they might give you. So here's what you do. Eliminate the first 2 answers that you think are bogus. Out of the other 2, see which one is always right. If you're still not sure, go with your gut feeling. Most of the time.
When in doubt, choose C.
Most of the time, the first answer you're going to feel okay with, you're going to feel like this is the right answer, it's going to be right. So don't go back and change it, just go with your gut feeling. And finally, that brings us to the third tip is like the gut feeling. When you are not sure, just trust your gut feeling. Go back and review all the questions that you weren't sure about and do not correct. Do not doubt yourself.
I will admit, when I took the state the second time, I did go back and review all the questions again, and 2 of them I did change my answer, and I think it was right for me to change those 2 answers.
We'll never know because they're not going to tell you which answers.
I know that, which kind of sucks. I'm like, dang it.
But I'll tell you one thing. every time when I was preparing for the exams.
But only if you're gonna change the answer, be extremely confident. Don't
Yeah.
change it. Don't change it for like a maybe. Like nope, that's it. That's the right answer.
Yeah, like
I
if you
messed up.
read it a few more times and you realize, oh, here's the trick. Okay, no, now I know the answer. Fine, change it.
And
But
it
if
honestly helps going back, go through all the questions, and then go back again and review, because you'll be like, it'll reiterate like, oh, okay, and you'll feel more confident.
Yeah, and sometimes you might find the answer to the question that you weren't sure about later in one of the questions down the road or down the exam, or you might remember it because another question might trigger your memory, so you remember it, you go back and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one now. Right, here's a bonus tip. Okay, a lot of people freak out about math. Please don't. Right?
Yeah.
We're not like mathematicians, we're not that great at math. The math questions are not that hard. Most of them, they're common sense.
I noticed in our prep course, the math questions in our prep course was a whole lot more difficult than the questions in the
actual exam. Yeah.
Really, honestly.
And the math questions are what's difficult about the math questions, if there's anything difficult at all, is not the actual math, because the equations are very easy. Once you know how it's done, you just know the equations and that's it. What's difficult about the math questions is how they word the questions. So just like Christina mentioned, sometimes they will tell you Q wants to buy a house from M, and M has a
they'll throw random numbers in there that don't even matter.
So they might throw numbers that don't matter, or it's just the way they put the question might throw you off. But the most important thing is to, while you're reading the question, like just make note of the pieces of information that do matter. And the scrap paper that you have, go ahead and write those pieces of information right away. And then use
that paper to your advantage.
Exactly. Using the T formula, just try and put those information.
I didn't have to use the T formula at all.
Oh, I use the T formula on all of the math questions.
Really?
Yeah, on all of them.
I didn't have to use the T formula at all.
Maybe you had different math questions.
Probably. I had super easy math questions. Maybe like once I had to do the T formula, but other than that, everything was just like super like step by step.
So just don't freak out about the math. It's super easy. Just break it down. All right.
And if you don't get it, put yourself in the situation. Put yourself in the question.
All right. And folks, that's pretty much it. These are the top tips of how to pass the exam the first time. Study hard. Do a lot of prep tests before you take the exam, as much as you can. Go there in confidence.
Don't stress too much.
Read the question more than once. Eliminate 2 answers right off the bat.
Don't be intimidated.
Try and figure out where the trick is. Always go with the answer that is, and that's why you need to read all 4 answers. Go with the answer that is always 100% right.
Process of elimination.
And finally, trust your gut feelings. If you put in the work, if you've studied, you know the answer. Even if you don't think you do, you do.
And if you fail, just like I did,
take it again.
Take it again and just practice.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You'll do it. Most of the people we talk to, if they haven't passed from the first time, they passed the second time. So it's not so hard. There's no reason for you to stress that much as you're stressing right now. You're watching a video, clearly you care.
And if anything, really focus on state questions. Like, I guess some people don't pass national, but the state seem to be just hammered.
I think the state just gets overlooked because everybody focuses on the national.
Because the national is like the bigger test. You're like, I need to focus on the bigger test. I'm like, no, focus on the state. You don't understand.
Focus on both. Just don't underestimate the state, because the margin of error in the state is much.
Don't underestimate the state.
The margin of error in the state is much less than the national. You can get away with answering less right answers in the national than you can with the state. Anyway, so that's our video for today. If you have any questions regarding the state or national exam in Texas, please do leave us a comment or get in touch. All our information is in the bottom right here. If you have any
Instagram, Facebook, like and subscribe.
Yes, and if you have any tips of your own that helped you, please do share them with us so we can also share it with everybody else. Or just, we're curious like what your experience was.
And see if when in doubt, go with C.
Yep. And
never fails.
that's all for today. We look forward to your feedback, and we hope that all of these videos are helping you out. Bye bye.
It's just really bad.